People get tripped up in the whole notion of Christianity in the context of God judging people and throwing them into hell. So let's talk about hell. Hollywood describes hell as a literal place where people are thrown, often to be tortured by demons for the rest of eternity. This is inaccurate. Hell is, as described in the Bible, a state of being where God withdraws himself, and the torture, the anguish, forms from a self imposed realization that the condemned has rejected God. Separation from the source of goodness, separation from God, separation from love, and fully aware of how and why that happened. To better understand hell, imagine you are virtually anywhere, but in the midst of obnoxious, intolerable, perhaps even outright evil people. Is it not reasonable that you should be able to leave? That is the logic of hell, where God leaves people, withdrawing all the good that people refuse to acknowledge comes from him in the process. Why? Simply because they refuse to admit they are flawed and accept the means of changing that. They are left to fend for themselves, which is what they wanted: independence, judgment free existence. But in isolation and with enlightenment, judgment comes from oneself. One sees how evil one truly is and must live with that. But amidst this, God simply asks that we acknowledge reality, that we face down our own evil, even if we can't quantify it, and trust that He can. He doesn't ask for perfection, only to strive towards it, even slowly. And finally, even in the midst of asking us to admit our own guilt, He does so having offered up His Son as the propitiation, the cost in blood to rectify our evil, even if we don't fully understand that evil or why it is so important. In this, the question of why should I have to change to appease God's wrath dissolves, because He Himself paid the price. Is it reasonable to ask why should I have to change when God has sacrificed His Son in order to allow you to do so? When the ultimate consequence of not doing so is God simply exercising His very understandable right to leave you and no longer associate you because you don't want to be like Him? God, through Jesus, is willing to forgive all sins,